I am so glad you're here for another episode of Mechanism Monday, where every Monday we write out the electron-pushing arrow mechanisms for different chemical transformations. In last week's video, I asked if you could solve the mechanism for this organic transformation, so if you haven't had a chance, pause the video now and try it independently. And make sure you stick around to the end because I'll give you another mechanism to solve for next week's video. This summer, I'm teaching Organic Chemistry 2, and one of the first topics that we cover in that class are pericyclic reactions. This is a class of reactions that cover things like Diels-Alder reactions or 2+2 cycloadditions. In addition, it also covers sigmatropic rearrangements and electrocyclic reactions. In preparation for this class, I found this paper that was published in TET-LET, or tetrahedron letters, in 1989, volume 30, beginning on page 3509. And this reaction in particular is an electrocyclic reaction. And that electrocyclic reaction allows us to do a rearrangement in which we generate this alkoxypyrone. The first step in the reaction is going to be an electrocyclic ring opening reaction in which 6 electrons are involved. The first arrow will be that this pi electron comes over here to being located at this position, which is going to push over these pi electrons to being located between the carbon and the oxygen. And what that's going to do, since that would create 3 bonds at oxygen, is actually open this up and move this bond to being another pi bond at this location. Now it's not going to matter for our purposes, but since this was done under heat and it's using 6 electrons, this would be a disrotatory reaction as compared to a conrotatory reaction. And notice this is how we end up opening this ring. And the intermediate generated after this first step is going to contain that first top ring that remains largely unchanged. And then from here at this carbon, we're going to have a sigma bond and then a pi bond located here that contains another pi bond to the oxygen at this location. This means that these are cumulated pi bonds because they're directly adjacent to one another. Conjugated versus cumulated dienes is something that we covered in that class as well. And then on this side, what we've generated is going to be an ester. So we have now generated an ester at this position because we have moved over this pi bond to being located between the carbon to oxygen, giving us our carbonyl carbon, and then coming off the side of that is this methoxy group, which gives rise to this ester. And then all that we're missing is the carbon-to-carbon double bond located here. Now remember, carbon-to-carbon double bonds, typically you can't rotate around them, but sigma bonds you can. So in fact, I can rotate around this sigma bond. So this will allow us to generate a different orientation where our top ring remains the exact same. We have our pi bond here, our sigma bond with our carbon-to-carbon double bond here, and then our carbon-to-oxygen double bond. But now this ester is going to be in a slightly different orientation. And this orientation is going to matter for what happens in the next step. So remember, these are lone pairs of electrons on this oxygen, and those lone pair of electrons are going to allow us to participate in another electrocyclic reaction in which we get a ring closing. So what will happen is these pi electrons will come down to form a brand new carbon-to-carbon double bond here. This will allow these electrons to come and attack this carbon here, which is going to shift over these pi electrons to giving us a brand new carbon-to-carbon double bond there. Now what's important and what allows this process to occur is the fact that we're forming a stabilized resonance structure where we can have a system where this becomes a 6-membered ring. Our carbon to oxygen double bond is located here. At this position we have our oxygen, which is going to be positively charged, and it's still attached to the methyl group. And then at this position, on the other side of the ring, we have moved over this to being a carbon to oxygen double bond. Now importantly, this is going to generate a resonance hybrid where the pi electrons can be located partially at either of these positions, giving us a negative charge. And this is going to help us maintain our balance with our newly positively charged oxygen at this bottom ring position. And this is kind of the transition state that it proceeds through, because ultimately what ended up happened is we reopened the ring by fully placing these pi electrons from this position all the way over to this carbon-to-carbon bond, which fully can liberate this carbon-to-oxygen bond, which is what can happen next where we get that full ring opening. I just wanted to show this structure because it's likely that this was a sort of transition state that this proceeded through, which is aided by the anomeric effect by the location of these different oxygens with lone pairs that can stabilize these structures. And notice then that this is how we actually shift over this molecule to making it look different in our rearrangement reaction. Because now our ester is going to be located at this position, and then we have a carbon to carbon double bond here that is adjacent to a carbon to oxygen bond. And then at this position, we have a carbon to carbon double bond because remember that is where it shifted previously as we proceeded through this transition state to get this final structure. And then from here, we can have another electrocyclic ring closure where these pi electrons can come over here, these pi electrons can come over here, and then these pi electrons can come and attack this carbon. And ultimately, that's actually what leads to our final product. Now, obviously, this reaction was probably more advanced than one that you would see in a sophomore level organic chemistry class, so I'd recommend that you check out this paper by Cha and coworkers in Tet Let, because ultimately what's happening to go from this material to this material in this rearrangement is just a series of electrocyclic ring opening and ring closing reactions. And if you follow along with the pi electrons, you can see how this possibly might occur because we're constantly proceeding through 6-member transition states, which are going to allow us to stabilize the molecule. In addition, the authors of this paper actually suggest that the oxygen located on the top ring participates in an anomeric effect where these pi electrons can be donated into the sigma star of this carbon. If you enjoyed this week's mechanism, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And for next week, I'd love to see if you could figure out the electron-pushing arrow mechanism for this organic reaction. Leave your thoughts as a comment down below and make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you never miss out on another Mechanism Monday. I'll see you next week.